Well, it was largely approaching the end of my career. I've been a music teacher for nearly 40 years now, and I was just really wondering what's next. And I've been meditating for a long time. And as soon as I heard about the university, I knew I was interested. The first class, I knew some of the people attending that, and this just seemed like an obvious time. And there were a lot of circumstances in my life that just um, really led me to say, now's the time to do it. As a band director, most of my career, particularly when I'm working in school, there's a lot of details. You're working with a lot of people. There are a lot of things coming at you all the time, and a lot of things to manage. And I seem, for most of my life, to have a running body of stress going, and this stress was just like a constant background noise. And whether they were large stressors or small stressors, they would stay there, and then the big ones would come and they'd consume my attention for just a long time. And what I found since then is 80 or 90% of that stress is just not there. The big stressors that come, I feel and I notice, but they're just kind of, I calmly look at them and they dissipate. I know what to do most of the time without even having to think about it a lot, or even if I do have to think about it. I feel an inner guidance to know what to do and just go about it, and it just goes back into the background. And I'd say that's one of the most noticeable aspects, but in every aspect of my life, I think there's a big difference. Well, I'd say it's absolutely transformational. I would say I've been a spiritual seeker, and that's my primary interest in all meditatively, all through the whole 14 years that I've been meditating, and particularly IMU, that I'm looking for spiritual development and transformation. And I'd say it's absolutely the transformational. I can look at my life before and my life after, and there's a very definite, measurable change in who I am.
That's great.
Flicks, and I just feel that I'm at the center of something that's transforming, and it's not only me, that I'm having an influence on my environment without actually even trying. And it was pretty clear to me that this was, well, I also try in that aspect too, but it was pretty clear that there were circumstances going on that just the way seemed smoother in front of you. I don't think there's anything else like this in the world. I just don't. It's almost like you taking 20 years of spiritual development in other context, Eastern context or Western context, and the things that seem to take a certain amount of time, and you condense it into a very high energy, high structure program, and it just moves. And it moves inside you, and it moves the outside of you, and it affects your family, it affects all aspects of your life. And I don't think there is anything like this in the world.
I had met a psychologist in Emporia, Kansas, who suggested I might be interested in heart rhythm meditation. And of course, when I went to him the first time, if he had said, Joy, you have a lot of issues you're working on, why don't you just meditate? I would have been gone. I wouldn't have stayed. But after working with him and then seeing the benefits, I realized that it might be something I'd be interested in. I'd never meditated before, but joined a small group they had in Emporia, Kansas, and started going to that. And then I started seeing results. I had these issues with my neck. My neck pulls to the right, and I've gone to 23 different doctors, and they say there's nothing wrong with my neck, but they'd be glad to do surgery on it or do injections in it or whatever, and with no guarantee. And I knew that that wasn't the root of the problem. I wanted to know what the root of the problem was, and nobody had any answers for me. So when I got into the heart rhythm meditation, I realized that that goes a whole lot deeper. It's not just meditation. It's a whole lot more than that. So I had tested on a heart rate variability machine, and when I was tested, the guy doing the testing, Tim, asked me, he said, "What's wrong with your heart?" And I said, "Well, nothing, except I have mitral valve prolapse." And the line on my graph, instead of having the spikes like everyone else's, mine would go up a little and then level, just be almost straight. So cardiologist said I was fine, didn't need medication, you know. But I knew that I had this real big, my heart would beat so hard it'd roll me over in bed. So I knew I had an issue with the heart, you know. So anyway, I joined the university mainly because of my neck issues, wanting to find out what was wrong with that. The heart issue was not a concern of mine. I thought the doctor said I'm fine, so I'm fine. Then I'd been in the university for a while, doing the meditations, and one day I asked Tim, I said, "Let's check my heart again. I don't feel that flutter anymore." So he put me on the machine, and it's absolutely just a perfect pulse. So I went back to the doctor and I said, "Check my heart." "Well, what do you want to check it for? There's nothing wrong with your heart." I said, "Well, yeah, but look for the prolapse." He said, "You don't have mitral valve prolapse." I wasn't even working on it, and it went away. And I have never been in a group that was so connected. Our class, and when you join a university, your class stays together. And we have a part of the website, it's called the Dome, and that's where we do our studies, that's where we write to each other. And I write things in the Dome that I wouldn't tell my best friend. I mean, the people in the class have become best friends, and also we share things that are life-changing, and my life is changing big time. I was, let's see, what do you call it when you give all the time? Codependent or whatever. Enabler. I was more of an enabler and couldn't stop myself. And I was doing her no good. She was going through depression, anxiety. She had gotten so down that she was on medications, couldn't get out of bed, get around. She had 2 boys, you know, teenagers, and I mean, she was not able to function. I was in there trying to help all the time with my good advice, and it was getting worse. So through the heart rhythm meditation, instead of physically being around her and trying to coach that way and giving my advice, I included her in my meditation. And I drew her into my heart, and I would just send her love and light and compassion. And I did that with my grandsons and her and the whole family. And she has changed completely. I mean, she's off all the medications. She's now running the run walk 5Ks. She's doing that. She's getting her health back together, and she did so much better when I backed off and then went through my heart to help her. You know, and another example of this was my 2 grandsons. They're teenagers, and we were headed down to Dallas to go to a Rangers baseball game. We all like baseball. But it was just the boys and I that were going to go. My son lives down there. And Deanna told me, my daughter told me, she said, "Mom, they've been fighting. You're going to have a terrible trip." I said, "No, I'm not." So before we left, you know, I would just breathe love and light into them and friendship, and they were like 2 buddies, not brothers. And I have a picture of them sitting at the Rangers ball game side by side that just, I mean, they had so much fun. They never argued about a thing. They'd stay up late at night playing, you know, video games and stuff with Uncle Dale because it was amazing. I mean, you can affect your environment and people don't even know you did it. I was in my daughter and I were driving somewhere, and we'd left home real fast to run to the city to pick up some Christmas presents. So we got stopped. She was speeding. She had no registration, no license, no driver's license, and no insurance. And that's a pretty big deal, you know. And he took all her information, and he asked, you know, information from me too. And then he went back to his car, and Deanna said, "Oh, Mom, this is going to be terrible. They're going to cart me off to jail, you know, because I don't know that I can even drive you home." No, Deanna, no. We're going to breathe in and just send love and light and compassion to him, and believe that he will see that, you know, it's Christmas, and he's just going to give you a break, and he'll understand. She said, "I don't know." He came back and handed her, you know, gave me my license and told her, he said, "Be careful. Why don't you get those papers in your car when you get home, and go ahead and go." And I just tell people, go check it out, and then try heart rhythm meditation. But absolutely, if you want to change your life, do it. I have had breakthroughs. I think I have now an insight into what's wrong with my neck and what's causing all of that. And I could have not got help anywhere else with this. So through the university, I'm finding my answers. And I was just visiting with a lady about that now, who's, it's just all evolving. It's all going to come, I'm going to get it all worked out. And the next time you see me, my neck will be straight. I won't have these issues anymore. And there's nowhere else I would have gotten this help. There was nowhere else to go.